The hotel manager called my cell phone at 11 o'clock at night. "Mr. Thurman," he said, his voice tight, "there's been a mistake. Your wife checked in yesterday under your reservation, but she's with another man." I was on the couch, watching the news. The remote control slipped from my hand. "That's impossible," I replied. "She's at home with my grandkids. She's watching Simone's children. I called her 2 hours ago." The manager's voice faltered. "Sir, please, come down to the front desk. This is very sensitive. We have her ID registered. Naomi Vance Thurman," he read, giving my wife's full name. I hung up. My 68 years felt their full weight all at once. I called Naomi. It went straight to voicemail. I called Simone. No answer there either. I grabbed my car keys, left without turning off the house lights, and drove through the empty city. Every red light felt like an eternity. I thought about 43 years of marriage, the vows we'd made, the grandkids we used to take to the park, the dinners where she'd smile and pour me more coffee. I also thought about the signs I'd ignored, the calls she cut short when I walked in, the trips she canceled because of headaches, the nights she said she was tired. It all clicked into place. I pulled up to the Grand Citadel Hotel, a tall building with golden lights over the entrance. I parked badly. I didn't care. The manager was waiting for me, standing straight at the front desk. He was young, wearing a gray suit and an impeccable tie. His face showed pure discomfort. "Mr. Thurman, thank you for coming. I deeply regret this situation." I didn't answer. I just stared. He pointed to a side door. "Please follow me." We passed through a narrow hallway. White walls. The smell of floral air freshener. The sound of my shoes against the marble floor. Each step was heavier than the last. We reached a door with a sign. "Security." The manager knocked twice. A guard opened up. Inside, the monitors showed the hotel hallways, the reception, the parking lot. The manager pointed to a chair. "Please have a seat." I dropped into it. My hands were shaking. I hid them between my knees. The guard adjusted one of the monitors. "Sir, I'm going to show you yesterday's recordings. It's 4:30 in the afternoon." The image appeared in black and white. Main hotel entrance. I saw Naomi, my wife, her hair loose, a style she rarely wore, in a dress I didn't recognize. She was carrying a small suitcase. She was smiling. Walking beside her was a tall, well-dressed black man, dark jeans and a white shirt, hair slicked back. I moved closer to the screen, squinting. It can't be. The guard zoomed in on the image. My stomach twisted. It was Derek, my son-in-law, Simone's husband, the father of my grandkids, the man I helped land his first job, the one who sat at my dinner table every Sunday, the one who called me Pops Elijah with that smile that now made all the sense in the world. I watched them approach the front desk. Naomi handed over her ID. Derek placed his hand on the small of her back. An intimate, far too intimate gesture. The clerk gave them the keys. "Suite 312. I pointed at the screen. "Fast forward the recording." The guard obeyed. I saw them enter the elevator. Naomi was laughing. Derek was whispering something in her ear. She was touching his arm. The elevator went up, the 3rd floor. They got out. They walked down the hall, holding hands, entered the room. The door closed behind them. I felt something break inside me. It wasn't just infidelity. It was the betrayal of two people I loved. Two people I trusted blindly. I took a deep breath. "Manager," I said, my voice controlled. "I need to see more." He hesitated. "Sir, we don't have cameras inside the rooms, only in common areas." "I understand." Show me everything you have." For the next hour, I watched the recordings. I saw them leave the room at 7 o'clock at night. They went down to the hotel restaurant. They had dinner together. Red wine, laughter, toasts. They returned to the room at 9. They came out again at 11. They walked through the lobby, sat on the reception couches. Derek was carrying a folder, a thick brown folder. He opened it, showed papers to Naomi. She looked them over, nodded, pointed things out with her finger. He took out a pen, passed her a document. Naomi signed. Once, twice, 3 times. Derek put the papers away, closed the folder, kissed her on the cheek. She smiled. They got up, returned to the elevator. "Stop right there," I ordered. The guard froze the image. Derek and Naomi in the elevator. Her with that smile, him with that folder under his arm. "Can you enlarge that folder?" The guard adjusted the zoom. The image lost quality, but something was readable. A white label stuck on the cover, black lettering. It said, "Thurman Estate. Transfer." My blood ran cold. This wasn't just an affair. It wasn't just sex. It was something bigger, something planned, something that involved my estate. The houses I'd built, working since I was 20 years old. The apartments I'd rented out for decades. The savings I'd protected by denying myself luxuries. Everything was at stake. "Manager," I said, getting to my feet, "I need a copy of all these recordings." He nodded. "Of course, Mr. Thurman. You'll have them on a USB drive in 15 minutes. I also need to know if they're still at the hotel." The manager checked his computer. "Yes, sir. They're still registered. They haven't checked out. The room is paid for until tomorrow at noon." "Perfect. Don't tell them anything. Act as if this never happened." He looked at me with understanding. I completely understand. I left the security room, walked back to the lobby. My legs weren't shaking anymore. Now there was something else inside me. It wasn't just pain. It wasn't just rage. It was clarity. Cold. Precise. I sat on one of the lobby couches, the very same ones where they sat, where they signed those papers, where they planned to rob me. I pulled out my phone, searched my contacts, and found the name I needed. Marcus Stanton, my attorney for life. I dialed. He answered on the 3rd ring. "Elijah, what a surprise. It's almost 2 in the morning. Marcus, I need to see you first thing tomorrow. It's urgent." His voice changed. "Did something happen?" "Yes, something very serious. I'll see you at 8 in your office." I hung up. The manager returned with the USB drive. I took the small device. "Thank you. One last thing. That brown folder the man was carrying. If he leaves it in the room or brings it back to the lobby, I want to know immediately." The manager wrote something in a notepad. "Count on it, Mr. Thurman. You have my direct number." I left the hotel. The cold morning air hit my face. I got in my car. I put the USB drive in my shirt pocket, over my heart. The evidence, the first piece of the puzzle. I drove back home, slower this time. I needed to think. I needed to plan. I wasn't going to yell. I wasn't going to make a scene. I wasn't going to beg them to stop. I was going to destroy them. Silently, precisely. I arrived home. The lights were still on. I went inside. Everything was the same. Naomi's coffee cup on the table, her slippers next to the couch, our wedding photo on the mantel, 43 years. Lies. No, not everything was a lie. But now, everything was contaminated. I poured myself a glass of whiskey, downed it in one gulp. went up to the bedroom, lay down on the bed fully dressed, and stared at the ceiling. I couldn't sleep. I didn't want to sleep. I just thought. I calculated. At 6 o'clock in the morning, my phone rang. It was Naomi. "Good morning, my love. The kids are up now. Simone had to leave early. I think I'll stay here until the afternoon." Her voice sounded normal, sweet, a liar's voice. "That's fine," I replied. "See you later. Take care." I hung up. She didn't know that I knew. That was my advantage. The silence, the patience, the strategy. I showered, shaved, and got dressed in a suit. At 8 o'clock sharp, I was in Marcus's office. He greeted me with 2 cups of freshly brewed coffee. We had been working together for 30 years. He'd drafted my will, reviewed all my rental contracts, and helped me buy my first property with a loan that seemed impossible. "Elijah, you look terrible. What happened?" I sat across from his desk, took the USB drive out of my pocket, and placed the device on the dark wooden table. "I need you to see this, but be prepared. It's heavy." Marcus plugged the drive into his computer, opened the files, and began watching the recordings. His expression changed from curiosity to surprise, from surprise to indignation. I watched him clench his fists as he saw Naomi and Derek entering the hotel. How he shook his head when he saw them signing papers. How he took off his glasses when the image of the folder with the label, Thurman Estate Transfer, appeared. "That son of a," he muttered. "I'm sorry, Elijah, but this is betrayal on all levels." "I know. That's why I'm here. I need to know what they're planning. I need to stop them before it's too late." Marcus closed the video, leaned back in his chair, and took a deep breath. "Let me review your documents, all the deeds, bank accounts, power of attorney forms, everything." We spent the next 3 hours reviewing my estate. Marcus opened folders, read contracts, verified signatures, called the bank, called the notary, called the county recorder's office. Each call made me more nervous. Each minute of silence while he read was an eternity. Finally, Marcus looked up. "Elijah, I have bad news. 3 weeks ago, Naomi presented a power of attorney in your name. She used it to initiate transfer procedures for 2 of your properties, the condo in downtown Atlanta and the beach house on Hilton Head Island, South Carolina." I felt the floor disappear beneath my feet. "That's impossible. I never signed any power of attorney." "I know. I reviewed the signature. It's a fake. A very good forgery, but fake. I can prove it. However, the procedure is already underway. If we don't stop it in the next few days, the properties will be in Derek's name. Derek, my son-in-law, the father of my grandkids, the man who ate at my table every Sunday." "There's more," Marcus continued. "Naomi also presented information to a private geriatric clinic. She requested information about permanent institutionalization. She claimed you're showing signs of senile dementia, that you forget things, get lost in the street, and need constant supervision." I stood up from the chair. "That's a lie. I'm perfectly fine. I work every day. I manage my company. My accounts are in order." "I know, Elijah, but she's building a narrative. She's laying the groundwork to have you declared incompetent. If she succeeds, she can take total control of your estate. She can sell everything. She can have you institutionalized against your will." The rage I felt at that moment was different from anything I'd experienced before. It wasn't explosive. It was cold, calculated, deadly. "What do I need to do?" Marcus took out a notepad and started writing. "First, we're going to cancel that fake power of attorney. I'll handle that today. Second, we're going to freeze all movement on your properties. No transfer will be completed. Third, you need to go to a doctor, a certified geriatrician, to get a full evaluation and document that you are in full mental capacity. I nodded. Go on. Fourth, you need evidence of everything. Beyond these videos, you need documents, audio recordings, messages, emails, anything that proves the conspiracy. How do I get that? Marcus looked at me seriously. You have to act normal, as if you know nothing. You have to stick to your routine. Talk to Naomi, as always. But in the meantime, you observe, you listen, you document everything. It's like being a spy in my own house. Exactly. And I know it's hard, but it's the only way to protect yourself. If you confront Naomi now, she'll get alerted. She'll hide everything. She'll accelerate her plans. She might even institutionalize you immediately, claiming you had a violent episode. I swallowed. I never imagined my life would come to this. No one does, Elijah. But now, you have to be smarter than them, more patient, more strategic. I left Marcus's office with a to-do list. First, I went to Dr. Kenneth Powell, a renowned geriatrician who worked at Midtown Medical Center. I explained the situation. He understood immediately. He ran tests on me for 4 hours: memory, reasoning, coordination, cognitive analysis. At the end, he handed me a full report. Mr. Thurman, you are in perfect mental condition. Your cognitive capacity is above average for your age. There are no signs of dementia, Alzheimer's, or neurological deterioration. This document officially certifies it. I put the report in an envelope, the second piece of the puzzle. Then I went to the bank. I asked to speak to the manager, showed him my ID, and requested the full history of movements for all my accounts for the last 6 months. The manager printed the documents. I reviewed each page. I found withdrawals I didn't recognize. Some transfers to accounts I had never authorized. Small amounts, $500 here, $800 there, $10,000 later. In total, they added up to more than $20,000. Mr. Thurman, these transfers were authorized with your personal key. I never authorized these movements. I need certified copies of each one with the date, time, issue, and destination account number. The manager looked concerned. Of course. I'm also going to change all your access passwords immediately, and I'm activating a security alert on all your accounts. Perfect. And I need to know whose name the destination accounts are in. The manager checked his computer. All 3 accounts are in the name of Derek Kincaid, my son-in-law. Everything led back to him again. I returned home at 6 o'clock in the evening. Naomi was in the kitchen preparing dinner. She was wearing the apron I bought her for our 40th anniversary. She smiled as she chopped vegetables. Hey, love, how was your day? I looked at her. This woman with whom I had shared 43 years, with whom I had 2 children, with whom I'd built a life. Now, she was a stranger, an enemy, a thief. But I smiled. I acted normal. Good. A lot of work at the office. And you? How are the grandkids? Good. Simone came to pick them up at noon. You know how she is, always busy. I walked over. I kissed her on the cheek. Her perfume was the same as always, but now it made me nauseous. I'm going to take a shower before dinner. I went up to the room, locked the door, took out my phone, and dialed Simone's number. My daughter. I needed to know if she was involved in this. She answered on the second ring. Pop, what a surprise. Everything okay? Daughter, I need to ask you something. Your mother was watching the kids yesterday and today. There was a silence. Pop, what are you talking about? Mom hasn't watched the kids in 2 weeks. They're at summer camp. They don't get back until next Monday. My heart pounded. Are you sure? Of course I'm sure, Pop. Is something wrong? No, honey. I was just mixed up. Sorry to bother you. I hung up. Naomi had lied to me directly, without hesitation. The grandkids were her perfect alibi. While I thought she was being the doting-on grandmother, she was at a hotel with Derek planning to rob me. I opened the Notes app on my phone. I started documenting everything: date, time, Naomi's lie, the conversation with Simone, the $20,000 stolen, the properties in the process of transfer. Every word I typed was one more piece of evidence. Every documented lie was one more nail in their coffin. I went down for dinner. Naomi served smothered pork chops with collard greens and cornbread. My favorite meal. She sat across from me, smiling. "You know," she said, "I've been thinking. We should take that trip to Europe you always wanted. Paris, Rome, Barcelona, before we get too old." I looked at her. Her eyes were sparkling. She seemed sincere, but I already knew the truth. "That sounds like a great idea. When do you want to go?" "Maybe in a couple of months. Let me check the dates." A couple of months? By then, she expected to have my entire estate transferred. She expected to have me declared incompetent, maybe institutionalized. Then the trip to Europe would be just for her and Derek, with my money. We ate in silence. Every bite was hard to swallow. Every smile from her was a reminder of her betrayal. After dinner, I excused myself. I said I had work to do. I went up to my study, locked the door, and took a shoebox out of the closet. Inside, I kept old documents, bills, receipts, photos. I searched until I found what I needed. An old notepad with Naomi's handwriting, notes she wrote years ago, shopping lists, reminders, her signature on birthday cards. I compared the signature with the one on the fake power of attorney Marcus showed me. They were similar, very similar, but there were subtle differences. The slant of the N, the curve of the V. Someone had practiced. Someone had studied her signature for a long time. It had to be Derek. He had access to documents in the house. He had seen Naomi's signature thousands of times. He knew how to forge it. I took pictures of everything. I uploaded the images to a cloud folder, backup after backup, evidence after evidence. My phone vibrated, a text from Marcus. I canceled the fake power of attorney. The transfers are frozen. But hurry, we need more proof before they try something more drastic. I replied. Understood. I'm on it. I turned off the study lights and went downstairs. Naomi was in the living room watching television. I sat next to her, took her hand. "I love you," I told her. She smiled. "I love you too, liar." The next few days were the hardest of my life. Waking up every morning next to a woman who planned to destroy me, eating breakfast with her, smiling, talking about the weather, acting as if nothing had happened. But each moment was an opportunity. Each conversation was a possible confession. Each of her movements was something I observed and documented. On Wednesday morning, Naomi went out early. She said she was going to the supermarket. I stayed home, working from my study. But as soon as I heard her car drive away, I went down to our room. I needed proof. I needed to find something concrete that connected everything. I opened her closet, checked her drawers, searched through her clothes. Nothing. Then I saw her purse, a brown leather bag she used every day. I grabbed it, opened it. Inside, I found her wallet, her keys, her cell phone. She'd forgotten it. My heart raced. I took the phone and tried to unlock it. I needed the password. I tried our anniversary date. Incorrect. I tried her birthday. Incorrect. I tried Simone's birthday. The screen unlocked. I went into her messages, looking for conversations with Derek. There were dozens, hundreds of messages going back months. I started reading. Each message was worse than the last. "Derek, everything's ready. The notary is a friend of Trevor's. He won't ask any questions." "Naomi, are you sure the signature will pass?" Derek, "Trevor checked it 3 times. It's perfect. Elijah will never know. Naomi. What if he finds out? Derek. By then we'll have everything transferred. The properties will be in my name. He won't be able to do anything. I kept reading. My hands were shaking. Naomi. Simone suspects something. Yesterday she asked me why I'm so distracted. Derek. Don't tell her anything yet. Once we have everything secured, we'll explain. She'll understand. It's for the good of the family. Naomi. What if she doesn't understand? Derek. She'll understand. We're her parents. She always supports us. Her parents. Derek was referring to them as Simone's parents, as if he were replacing me, as if I were already dead. I looked for older messages. I found one from 2 months ago. Derek. I spoke to the director of the Serenity Pines retirement community. They have space available. $45,000 a year. Once Elijah is institutionalized, we'll have full access to his accounts. Naomi. I don't know if I can do that. Institutionalizing him is too cruel. Derek. Naomi, think about us. Think about our future. Elijah is old. He's lived his life. Now it's our turn to live ours. Naomi. You're right. I'm sorry. Sometimes I get sentimental. Derek. I know, my love, but you have to be strong. This is for our own good. My love. He called her my love. I felt like I was going to throw up. I took screenshots of every message, one by one. Dozens of conversations. Irrefutable evidence of the conspiracy. Then I checked her emails. I found messages from Trevor, the attorney Derek mentioned, attached with legal documents, contracts, power of attorney forms, transfer requests. Everything was there. The whole plan, every step that they had taken, every lie they had constructed. I downloaded everything. I sent it to my personal email, uploaded it to the cloud. I made copies of the copies. I heard a car pull into the driveway. Naomi was back. I quickly put her phone back in her purse. I ran upstairs to my study. I sat down at the computer. I took a deep breath. Elijah, I'm home, she yelled from downstairs. Coming, I replied, my voice controlled. I went downstairs. Naomi was putting the groceries away in the kitchen. Bags from the supermarket on the table. Vegetables, fruit, bread. I'll help you. Thanks, love. I bought that imported cheese you like. That's thoughtful. We put the groceries away together. She talked about prices, about the people at the supermarket, about the traffic. Normal, mundane conversation. As if she wasn't planning to steal everything from me. In the afternoon, I received a call from Marcus. Elijah, I need you to come to the office. I found something important. I arrived an hour later. Marcus was waiting for me with a thick folder on his desk. I hired a private investigator. I asked him to follow Derek for the last 3 days. He opened the folder. Inside were photographs. Derek entering a bank. Derek meeting with a man in a coffee shop. Derek entering a real estate office. This man, Marcus said, pointing to a photo, is Trevor Hayes, an attorney. He has a history of document forgery. He was suspended from the State Bar Association for 2 years. He's the brains behind all this. I felt the rage growing inside me. Derek wasn't smart enough to plan this. He just needed someone like Trevor, someone unscrupulous, someone who knew how to manipulate the system. There's more, Marcus continued. The investigator checked Derek's finances. He's bankrupt. He owes more than $200,000. Credit cards, personal loans, failed investments. He's desperate. That's why he needs my properties. He needs my money. Exactly. And Naomi is his access. She has your trust. She can sign documents. She can make moves without you suspecting. Until now. I showed him the screenshots I had taken from Naomi's phone. Marcus read them one by one. His expression grew more serious with each message. This is pure gold, Elijah. With this, we can prove conspiracy to commit fraud, forgery of documents, attempted misappropriation. Derek can go to prison, and Naomi too. I don't want Naomi to go to prison. I just want this to end. I want to get my life back, my dignity. I understand, but she committed serious felonies. A judge will have to decide the consequences. I returned home that night with a clearer plan. Marcus was preparing everything to file a formal complaint, but we needed more. We needed physical evidence, the original documents that Derek and Trevor had forged. On Friday night, Naomi told me she was going out with friends. Dinner, maybe a movie afterward. She'd be home late. Have fun, I told her. I'm going to stay in and work in the study. She got ready, put on a black dress, did her makeup, put on perfume. She left at 7 o'clock. I waited 30 minutes. Then I left too. I followed her car from a distance. She wasn't heading toward the restaurant she mentioned. She was driving in the opposite direction, toward the center of the city. She parked in front of an office building. She got out of the car and went inside. I waited. 5 minutes later, Derek arrived, then another older man with a beard and a gray suit. It had to be Trevor. The three of them went up together. I stayed in my car, observing, documenting. I took pictures of the building, the license plates of the cars, and the entrance. An hour later, they came out. Derek was carrying a folder, the same brown folder I saw in the hotel recordings. Naomi was smiling. Trevor was patting Derek on the shoulder. They said goodbye. Each one got into his car. Naomi drove back home. I got there before her. I parked, went inside, went up to the study, and turned on the computer. When she arrived 30 minutes later, I was working as if I'd never left. Hello, love. How was your dinner? Very good. The girls send their regards. Liar. There were no friends. There was no dinner. Only conspiracy. Only betrayal. On Saturday morning, my phone rang. It was the manager of the Grand Citadel Hotel. Mr. Thurman, the folder. The man left it in the lobby this morning. He forgot it on a coffee table. I'm on my way. I got to the hotel in 20 minutes. The manager was waiting for me in his office. On his desk was the brown folder, the same one I'd seen in the recordings, the same one Derek was carrying last night. I opened it with trembling hands. Inside were documents, lots of documents, contracts of sale, power of attorney forms, deeds, all with my forged signature. There was also a document that chilled me to the bone, an involuntary institutionalization request for me at the Serenity Pines retirement community, signed by Naomi as my wife. Justification: advanced senile dementia, erratic behavior, danger to self and others. I took photos of every page, then called Marcus. You need to see this. Now. Marcus arrived at the hotel 30 minutes later. He reviewed each document. His face showed pure indignation. Elijah, this is enough. We have everything we need. We can go to the district attorney today. How long will the process take? If we file all this on Monday, we can have an arrest warrant for Derek and Trevor in 48 hours. For Naomi, maybe a little longer. It depends on how you want to proceed. I want to proceed with everything. No mercy, no compassion. They showed no mercy to me. Understood. We're going to need to testify before the district attorney, present all the evidence. The hotel recordings and the messages, the forged documents, everything. I'm ready. I left the hotel with the folder under my arm. Marcus went to his office to prepare the formal complaint. I returned home. Naomi was in the garden, watering the plants. She was wearing a straw hat. She smiled. "What a beautiful morning," she said when she saw me. "Beautiful," I replied. I went into the house, up to the study, locked the door, and put the folder on the desk. Everything was ready, all the pieces in place. Monday would begin the end of their world. Sunday was the strangest day of my life. I knew that in 24 hours, everything would explode. That on Monday morning, Marcus would file the complaint, that the police would knock on the door, that the whole castle of lies would crumble. But this Sunday, I had to act as if nothing was wrong, as if it were a normal day, as if my wife hadn't betrayed me, as if my son-in-law wasn't robbing me. Naomi woke up early. She made breakfast, scrambled eggs, toast, fresh coffee. I sat across from her, at the dining room table, the same table where we'd eaten breakfast together for 43 years. "We should go to service today," she said, spreading butter on her bread. "It's been a while." I looked at her. She wanted to go to church after robbing me, after planning to institutionalize me, after signing fake documents. She wanted to go ask God for forgiveness. "Sounds good," I replied. "Let's go to the 11 o'clock service." We went to church together. We walked down the center aisle. We sat in our usual pew, the third row on the right side, the same spot where we sat when the children were small. Pastor gave his sermon. He talked about forgiveness, redemption, about how we all make mistakes, but God always gives us another chance. I looked at Naomi. She listened attentively, nodding, her hands folded in her lap. She looked so devout, so repentant. But she wasn't repentant about what she did to me. She was just afraid of being discovered. When it was time for communion, she got up, walked toward the altar, received the wafer, closed her eyes, and prayed. I stayed seated. I couldn't take communion, not with the hatred I felt in my heart, not with the plans for revenge occupying my mind. After service, Naomi suggested we go out to eat. "There's a new restaurant downtown. They say the food is really good." "Let's go," I said. The restaurant was elegant. White tablecloths, candles on each table, soft background music. We sat by the window and ordered. She ordered salmon. I ordered steak. While we waited, Naomi took my hand across the table. "You know, Elijah, I've been thinking a lot lately about us, about our life together." My heart raced. She was going to confess. She was finally going to tell me the truth. "We've been through a lot," she continued. "Good times, hard times, but we've always been together. We've always been a team." I nodded. "Yes, always. I want you to know that I love you, that I've always loved you, that everything I do for us, for our family." Her eyes were sparkling. She seemed sincere, but I knew the truth. Everything she said was a lie. Every word was manipulation. Every gesture was theater. "I love you too." I lied. The food arrived. We ate in silence. She smiled now and then. I smiled too. Two actors in a play that no one else was watching. After eating, we returned home. Naomi lay down for a nap. I went up to the study. I reviewed all the evidence one more time. The hotel recordings, the phone messages, the forged documents, the brown folder. Everything was in order. Everything was backed up. Copies in the cloud, copies on the computer, copies on the USB drive I kept in my pocket. My phone vibrated. A text from Marcus. "All set for tomorrow. We file the complaint at 9 o'clock in the morning. The DA issues the arrest warrants at 10. Get ready," I replied. "I'm ready." That night, we had dinner together. Naomi made my favorite meal, smothered pork chops with collard greens and cornbread. She sat across from me, served me, and smiled. Thank you for today, she said. I needed this, to spend time with you without distractions, without worries. It was a beautiful day, I replied. After dinner, we sat in the living room. She put on a movie, a romantic comedy we'd seen 1,000 times. She leaned on my shoulder. She took my hand. I love you, Elijah. I love you too, Naomi. Lies. Everything was a lie. At 11 o'clock at night, we went up to sleep. Naomi changed, put on her pajamas, and got into bed. I stood by the window, looking at the empty street, the light from the street lamps, the trees, moving in the wind. Aren't you coming to sleep? She asked. In a moment. Just thinking. What are you thinking about? The future. What's coming? She laughed, always so philosophical. Come on, lie down. Tomorrow's another day. I lay down next to her, turned off the light, and closed my eyes. But I didn't sleep. I couldn't sleep. I just thought about the next day, about the moment everything would change. I heard Naomi's breathing grow slow, deep. She had fallen asleep. She slept peacefully, without guilt, without remorse. I stayed awake, counting the minutes, waiting for the sunrise. At 5 o'clock in the morning, I got up, showered, shaved, and put on my best suit. Dark gray, white shirt, black tie, freshly polished shoes. I went down to the kitchen, made coffee, and sat down to wait. At 6:30, Naomi came downstairs. Good morning, love. Why are you up so early? I have an important meeting at Marcus's office at 9. Oh, something serious? Very serious. She made breakfast. We ate together. The last time when we would eat together, as husband and wife. The last time we would share a table, without her knowing the truth. At 8:30, I grabbed my keys. I'm leaving, I told her. I don't know when I'll be back. Okay, I'll see you this afternoon. I walked over. I kissed her on the cheek. Goodbye, Naomi. Goodbye, love. I left the house, got in my car, and drove toward Marcus's office. Traffic was heavy, but I didn't care. I had time. All the time in the world. I arrived at 9:05. Marcus was waiting for me at the entrance to his office. Good morning, Elijah. Ready? More than ready? We went up to his office. On the desk was a thick folder, full of documents, all the evidence organized, each piece numbered and cataloged. The district attorney is expecting us at 9:30, Marcus said. We're going to present everything. He'll review it. If he's satisfied, he'll issue the warrants immediately. And then the police will go for Derek and Trevor. They'll arrest them and take them in for questioning. Depending on what they say, they might implicate Naomi or try to protect her, but we have enough to charge her too. Yes, the messages are clear. She was aware of everything. She actively participated. She can't plead ignorance. Perfect. At 9:20, we left the office and drove to the district attorney's office building. We parked and went up to the 3rd floor. The DA received us in his office. He was a man in his 50s, gray hair, thick glasses, a serious expression. Mr. Thurman, I've reviewed the preliminary information Mr. Stanton sent me. It's a very serious, very complex case. I know, I replied. That's why I'm here. Show me everything. Marcus opened the folder and began presenting the evidence one by one. The hotel recordings, the phone messages, the forged documents, the unauthorized bank movements, the institutionalization request. The DA took notes, asked questions, and reviewed every detail. 2 hours passed. Finally, he closed his notepad. Mr. Thurman, you have a solid case, very solid. I'm going to issue arrest warrants for Derek Kincaid and Trevor Hayes for fraud, forgery of documents, conspiracy, and misappropriation. And my wife? The DA looked at me seriously. Your wife will also be summoned, but given her age and the circumstances, she probably won't be arrested immediately. She'll have to come in for a statement, and depending on her statement, we'll determine the formal charges. I understand. The warrants will be ready in an hour. The police will proceed immediately. Thank you. We left the DA's office. Marcus patted me on the shoulder. It's done, Elijah. There's no turning back now. I know, and I don't want there to be. Marcus and I returned to his office to wait. He made more coffee. I sat by the window watching the street, the cars passing by, people walking. The world kept spinning normally, but my world was about to change forever. At 12:30, Marcus's phone rang. He answered, listened, nodded, and hung up. They arrested Derek. They found him in his office. He didn't resist. Trevor is also detained. They arrested him at his house. I felt something strange in my chest. It wasn't joy. It wasn't satisfaction. It was relief. It was finally happening. Justice was finally taking action. And Naomi, I asked. 2 officers are on their way to your house. They're going to notify her that she must appear for a statement tomorrow at 9 o'clock in the morning. They won't arrest her yet, but they will explain the charges. I want to be there when they notify her. Marcus looked at me, surprised. Are you sure? It's going to be very difficult. I need to see it. I need to see her face when she realizes it's all over. Okay, let's go. We drove toward my house. On the way, my phone rang. It was Simone. Pop, what's going on? The police just arrested Derek at his office. They called me from his work. They say it's for fraud, for document forgery. My heart broke when I heard her voice. She sounded confused, scared. My daughter knew nothing. She was innocent in all this. Honey, I need you to come to the house, now. I'm going to explain everything. Pop, you're scaring me. I know, but trust me. Come home, please. Okay, I'm on my way. We arrived at my house 5 minutes before the police. I went inside. Naomi was in the living room watching television. When she saw me, she smiled. You're back. How was your meeting? Before I could answer, the doorbell rang. Naomi got up. I'll get it. Let me, I said. I opened the door. 2 police officers were outside. A man and a woman. Immaculate uniforms. Serious expressions. Good afternoon. We're looking for Naomi Vance Thurman. Naomi approached. That's me. Is something wrong? The officers stepped inside. Ma'am, we need to speak with you. It's about your husband, Mr. Elijah Thurman. Naomi looked at me, confused. Elijah? What's going on? The female officer took out some documents. Ma'am, your husband has filed a formal complaint against you for conspiracy to commit fraud, document forgery, attempted misappropriation, and attempted involuntary institutionalization. The color drained from Naomi's face. What? What are you talking about? Elijah, this is a joke. It's not a joke, Naomi. I know everything. The hotel, Derek, Trevor, the fake documents, the bank transfers, the plan to institutionalize me, everything. She backed away, shaking her head. No, you don't understand. I can explain. There's nothing left to explain. I have proof of everything. Recordings, messages, documents, everything. Naomi collapsed onto the couch. Her hands were shaking. She started to cry. Elijah, please, it was a mistake. I didn't want to hurt you. Derek convinced me. He said it was for our own good. Our good? Stealing my estate was for our own good. Institutionalizing me was for our own good. Forging my signature was for our own good. I love you. I've always loved you. If you loved me, you wouldn't have done this. If you loved me, you wouldn't have slept with my son-in-law. If you loved me, you wouldn't have signed documents to rob me. The officers watched the scene in silence. The female officer cleared her throat. Ma'am, you need to appear tomorrow at 9 o'clock in the morning at the district attorney's office to give a statement. If you don't appear, we will issue an arrest warrant for you. Naomi just cried, nodding without a word. At that moment, Simone burst through the door. She had used her key. Mom? Pop? What's going on? Why are there police here? Simone ran closer. She saw her mother crying. She saw me standing with a serious expression. She saw Marcus by the door. She saw the officers with their documents. Somebody explain to me, what the hell is happening? She shouted. I walked over to my daughter. I took her hands. Honey, sit down. I need to tell you something very difficult. For the next hour, I explained everything to Simone. I showed her the hotel recordings. I showed her the messages between Naomi and Derek. I showed her the forged documents. I showed her the institutionalization request. Simone listened in silence. Tears streamed down her cheeks. She looked at her mother with disbelief, with pain, with betrayal. Mom, how could you? How could you do this to Pop? And with Derek, with my husband. Naomi tried to get closer. Honey, I'm so sorry. I didn't want you to find out this way. Simone moved away. Don't touch me. Don't ever touch me again. You disgust me. Both of you disgust me. She turned to me. Pop, I didn't know anything. You have to believe me. I would never have allowed this. I know, honey. I know. That's why I didn't tell you sooner. Because I knew you were innocent. That you had nothing to do with this. Simone fell into a chair. She covered her face with her hands. She sobbed. My life just got destroyed. My husband betrayed me. My mother betrayed me. I don't know who to trust anymore. I knelt in front of her. You can trust me. You can always trust me. I would never hurt you. I will always protect you. The officers prepared to leave. Mr. Thurman, remember, tomorrow at 9 o'clock. Don't miss it. They left. Marcus approached. Elijah, if you need anything, call me. I'll be available all night. Thank you, Marcus, for everything. He left too. I was left alone with Simone and Naomi. The silence was heavy, awkward, painful. Simone stood up. I'm leaving. I can't stay here. I can't look at you, Mom. No, honey. Please, Naomi begged. No, don't talk to me. Don't call me. I don't want to know anything about you. Simone left the house. I heard her car start, drive away, and disappear into the distance. I was left alone with Naomi. She was still on the couch, crying, shutting in. You have to leave, I told her. You can't stay here. This isn't your house anymore. Elijah, please, give me another chance. We can fix this. There's nothing left to fix. You destroyed everything. You destroyed 43 years of marriage. You destroyed trust. You destroyed our family. It was a mistake, a terrible mistake. It wasn't a mistake. It was a choice. A series of choices made over months. Every day you lied. Every document you signed. Every message you sent to Derek. Every night you spent in that hotel. They were all choices. I walked closer to her, looking her directly in the eye. I want you to leave now. Pack what you need and go. Where will I go? I don't care. Go be with Derek. Oh wait, Derek is arrested. He's in a cell right now, paying for what you two did. Naomi stood up and went upstairs. I heard her in the bedroom, opening drawers, taking out clothes, crying. 30 minutes later, she came down with a suitcase. She looked at me one last time. I'm sorry, Elijah. I truly am sorry. I'm sorry too. I'm sorry I loved you. I'm sorry I trusted you. I'm sorry I wasted 43 years of my life with you. She left the house, got into her car, and drove away. I was left alone. In my house. In the silence. I walked through the rooms. The living room where we watched television together. The dining room where we had dinner. The kitchen where she made coffee every morning. Everything felt different now. Everything was contaminated by betrayal. I poured myself a glass of whiskey, sat in the living room, and looked at the photos on the mantel. Our wedding, Simone's birth, family vacations, birthdays, anniversaries. All those memories were now stained. All those smiles now seemed fake. My phone rang. It was Simone. Pop, are you okay? Yes, honey. I'm okay. Do you want me to come keep you company? No. I need tonight alone. I need to process all this. Okay, but if you need me, call me anytime. I will. I love you, honey. I love you too, Pop. I hung up. I finished my whiskey, went up to the bedroom, and lay down on the side of the bed where I slept. The other side was empty, cold. I closed my eyes. Tomorrow would be another day. Tomorrow the battle would continue. But tonight, I just wanted to rest. I woke up at 6 o'clock in the morning. I hadn't slept well. Nightmares, memories. The image of Naomi crying, Simone's broken face. It all replayed in my mind like an endless movie. I got up and took a shower. The hot water didn't help me relax. I put on comfortable clothes, jeans, a white shirt. I didn't need a suit anymore. I didn't have to impress anyone. I went down to the kitchen, made coffee, and sat alone at the dining room table. The house felt bigger, emptier, quieter. At 8, Marcus called. Good morning, Elijah. How was your night? I survived. Naomi has to be at the DA's office in an hour. You don't have to go, but if you want to witness her statement, you can. I'm going. I need to hear what she has to say. I'll see you there then. I arrived at the DA's office at 9:10. Marcus was waiting for me at the entrance. We went up to the 3rd floor. In the waiting room, there were several people. Lawyers, witnesses, family from other cases. Naomi arrived at 9 o'clock sharp. She was accompanied by a lawyer I didn't know, a young man, cheap suit, old briefcase. She saw me. She immediately dropped her gaze. They went into the DA's office. Marcus and I waited outside. 30 minutes. 40. An hour. Finally, the door opened. Naomi came out. Her eyes were red, swollen from crying so much. Her lawyer held her arm. She walked past me without a word. The DA called us in. Please come in. We entered his office. The DA was sitting behind his desk. He had documents in front of him, audio recordings, handwritten notes. Mr. Thurman, your wife just confessed. He confirmed everything. The plan with Derek, Trevor's involvement, the forged signatures, the unauthorized bank withdrawals, the plan to institutionalize me. I felt a weight in my chest. A part of me had hoped she would deny everything, that she'd say it was a misunderstanding, that there was an explanation. But no. She had confessed. Everything was real. Everything was true. She also gave us additional information, the DA continued. Derek has debts with dangerous people, illegal loan sharks. He owed more than $300,000. They threatened him. They told him that if he didn't pay in 3 months, they would go after his family, after Simone, after his children. So this was for money? To save his own skin? Basically, yes. Trevor proposed the plan. He told Derek that you were an older man with valuable properties, no direct male heirs, and that it would be easy to manipulate the documents, transfer everything, sell quickly, and pay off the debts. And Naomi agreed to participate because the DA looked at me uncomfortably. Mr. Thurman, this is delicate. But your wife confessed that she has been in a relationship with Derek for 2 years. It began when you had that heart operation, when you were hospitalized for 3 weeks. 2 years. 2 years of lies. 2 years of betrayal. And I didn't know anything. I'm very sorry, the DA said. I know this is very painful. What are the formal charges against them? Derek faces charges for aggravated fraud, forgery of official documents, conspiracy, and misappropriation. We're talking about 10 to 15 years in prison, if he's convicted. And Trevor? Trevor has a history. This is recidivism. He faces between 15 and 20 years. Plus, he'll be permanently suspended from the State Bar Association. And my wife? The DA took a deep breath. Naomi faces charges for complicity in fraud, document forgery, and conspiracy. However, her lawyer is negotiating. She is fully cooperating, giving names, details, a complete chronology of the facts. She wants a deal. What kind of deal? Her lawyer is requesting probation in exchange for her testimony against Derek and Trevor. She probably wouldn't see prison, but she would have a criminal record. She would lose certain rights, and obviously, the civil consequences of the divorce. Divorce. The word sounded strange in my head. 43 years of marriage, ending in a government office with official papers, seals, and signatures. What do you recommend? I asked Marcus. Marcus adjusted his glasses. Elijah, legally speaking, Naomi's testimony is very valuable. It can guarantee that Derek and Trevor are convicted. Without her testimony, they could find loopholes and could reduce their sentences. So you're telling me to let Naomi go free? Not free. With a record, with probation, with restrictions, and obviously losing everything in the divorce, the house, the shared savings, the joint assets, everything. The DA nodded. Furthermore, Mr. Thurman, we can include a permanent restraining order in the agreement. Naomi will not be able to approach you. She won't be able to contact you. She won't be able to be within 500 feet of your home or workplace. I paused, thinking. A part of me wanted to see her in prison. I wanted her to pay for every lie, every betrayal, every night she spent with Derek while I slept, trusting her. But another part of me just wanted to be done with this. I wanted to close this chapter. I wanted to get my life back, my peace, my dignity. I accept the deal, I finally said. Let her testify against them. Let them be convicted. But I want an immediate divorce. I want the restraining order, and I want her to sign away any right to my estate. All of that can be arranged, the DA said. I'm going to draft the agreement. You'll have it ready tomorrow. One more thing, I added. Simone, my daughter. I want it made clear, in all documents, that she had nothing to do with this. That she is innocent. That she is a victim too. That's already documented, Mr. Thurman. Your daughter faces no charges, no investigation. She is completely clean. We left the DA's office. Marcus patted me on the shoulder. Elijah, you did the right thing. You made the right decision. It doesn't feel like the right decision. It feels like letting her escape. She's not escaping. She's going to carry this for the rest of her life. The criminal record, the shame, the family's rejection, the loss of everything you built together. Trust me. She's paying. We drove in silence. Marcus dropped me off at my house. I went inside. The house was still empty, still silent. I sat in the living room, took out my phone, and dialed Simone's number. I needed to talk to her. I needed her to know what was happening. "Pop," she answered. "How are you?" "Honey, I need to see you. Can you come over?" "I'm on my way." Simone arrived 30 minutes later. Her eyes were swollen. She looked tired, shattered. I opened the door. We hugged. She started to cry on my shoulder. "I can't take it anymore, Pop. It's too much. My husband, my mother, everything is falling apart." "I know, honey. I know. But you're going to get through this. You're going to be strong because you're my daughter, and Thurmans are strong." We sat in the living room. I told her everything that had happened at the DA's office. Naomi's confession, the deal I accepted, the divorce that was coming. Simone listened, sometimes nodding, sometimes crying. When I finished, she took my hand. "You did the right thing, Pop. I know it was hard, but it was the right thing. And you, honey? What are you going to do about Derek?" She wiped her tears. "I already spoke to a lawyer. I'm going to file for divorce. I'm also going to seek full custody of the children. I don't want him near them, not after what he did. I support you in whatever you need. Money for the lawyer, a place to stay, whatever. Thank you, Pop. I don't know what I would do without you. You're never going to have to find out. I'll always be here for you." Simone stayed the rest of the day. We ordered food, watched television, and talked about simple things: the weather, the kids, her plans for the future. For the first time in weeks, I felt calm. Not happy, but calm. The storm was passing. The sun was starting to rise. The next few days passed in a blur of legal meetings, document signings, statements, and testimonies. Marcus guided me every step of the way, explaining every paper I signed, overlooking every legal consequence of my decisions. On Wednesday, Naomi formally testified against Derek and Trevor. I wasn't present. I didn't want to see her. I didn't want to hear her voice. Marcus kept me informed by phone. She did well, he told me. She was detailed, precise. She told everything from the beginning. How Derek seduced her 2 years ago. How he told her about his debts. How Trevor appeared with the plan. Every meeting they had. Every document they signed. That guarantees their conviction. With her testimony, they have no defense. They're going to prison. It's certain. On Thursday, I signed the divorce papers. Marcus had worked with Naomi's lawyer to prepare everything. She renounced any right to my estate. The properties stayed in my name. The bank accounts, the savings, the investments, everything. In exchange, I wouldn't file additional charges against her. I wouldn't seek economic compensation. I wouldn't pursue her legally, beyond the current criminal case. She signed without protesting. Her lawyer told me she was repentant, that she wanted to cooperate, that she just wanted this all to be over. I didn't care what she wanted, not anymore. On Friday afternoon, the DA called me. "Oh, Mr. Thurman, we have a date for Derek and Trevor's preliminary hearing. It will be next Tuesday. You must be present as the injured party." "I'll be there. I also want to inform you that we found more evidence during the investigation. Derek wasn't just planning to rob you. He had also forged documents for other clients of his company. He defrauded at least 3 other people, seniors like you, using the exact same method. That bastard was a professional at this." "That's right, and Trevor was his legal facilitator. They had been doing this for at least 5 years. You aren't their first victim, but thanks to your courage in reporting it, you're going to be their last. I'm glad something good came out of all this mess." I spent the weekend with Simone and my grandkids. She had temporarily moved into my house. She didn't want to be alone in the apartment she shared with Derek. The kids didn't fully understand what was happening. They just knew Daddy wouldn't be home for a while. "Pop, Pop," asked my older grandson Isaiah, a boy of 7, "why isn't Daddy coming to visit us?" "Your dad is busy with work," Simone replied before I could say anything. "But you'll see him soon." A lie. Derek wouldn't see his children for a long time, maybe years, maybe until he got out of prison and they were already grown. We played in the yard, watched movies, and made popcorn. I tried to give them the normal childhood they deserved, protecting them from the chaos that we adults had created. Monday night, I couldn't sleep. Tomorrow would be the hearing. I would see Derek for the first time since his arrest. I would see Trevor. I would have to sit in the same room with them. Listen to the formal accusations, see the judge decide if there was enough evidence to take them to trial. I got up at 5 in the morning. I prepared carefully. Gray suit, white shirt, tie. I wanted to look strong, dignified, not like a victim, but like a survivor. Marcus picked me up at 8. We drove in silence toward the courthouse. Traffic was heavy. We arrived 15 minutes early. The courtroom was large. Wooden benches, a high bench where the judge would sit. On one side, the prosecutor's table. On the other, the defense tables. We sat in the first row behind the prosecutor. Other people began to arrive. Journalists, onlookers, family members of other victims Derek had defrauded. At 9 they brought in Derek. He walked in handcuffs. He was wearing an orange prison uniform. He looked haggard, with dark circles under his eyes. He had lost weight. His hair was messy. He was no longer the confident, smiling man who sat at my table every Sunday. Our eyes met for a second. He immediately looked away. Shame, or maybe fear. I don't know. I didn't care. Minutes later, they brought in Trevor, also handcuffed, sitting in an orange uniform. He looked calmer, more calculated, as if he were planning his defense, looking for legal loopholes. The judge entered. We all stood up. She was a woman in her 60s. White hair pulled back in a bun, glasses, a serious but fair expression. "Good morning. You may be seated. We will proceed with the preliminary hearing in the case of the state versus Derek Kincaid and Trevor Hayes. Prosecutor, present your charges." The prosecutor stood up. "Your Honor, the state accuses Mr. Kincaid and Mr. Hayes of the following crimes: aggravated fraud, forgery of official documents, conspiracy to commit fraud, misappropriation, and attempted unlawful confinement." He continued for 10 minutes, explaining each charge, each crime, each victim. Not just me, but 3 other seniors who had lost properties, money, and lifetime savings. "Defense attorney, do you have anything to say?" Derek's attorney stood up. He was an older man with experience. "Your Honor, my client pleads not guilty to all charges. We assert that he was manipulated by Mr. Hayes, who is the true mastermind behind these alleged crimes." Trevor's attorney also stood up, younger, more aggressive. "Your Honor, my client also pleads not guilty. We maintain that the evidence is circumstantial, that there is no direct proof of his participation in these acts." The judge looked at them with skepticism. "Prosecutor, present your evidence." Over the next 2 hours, the prosecutor presented everything. The hotel recordings, the messages between Naomi and Derek, the forged documents with analysis from a graphology expert, the bank statements showing the illegal transfers. He also presented Naomi's written testimony and evidence from the other victims: a 72-year-old man who lost his house, a 68-year-old woman who lost her grandkids' college savings, another elderly couple who almost ended up on the street. All followed the same pattern. Derek gained their trust. Trevor prepared the fake documents. They transferred properties, emptied accounts, and disappeared before the victims realized. The courtroom was silent. Even the journalists had stopped taking notes. They only listened, horrified by the magnitude of the crimes. Finally, the judge spoke. I have heard enough. There is more than sufficient evidence to proceed to trial. The defendants will remain detained without bond. They represent a danger to society. There is a risk of flight. The trial date will be in 60 days. She hit her gavel. Hearing adjourned. The guards took Derek and Trevor away. Derek turned to look at me one last time. This time, he didn't look away. He looked straight at me. His eyes said something. I'm not sure if it was regret or simply hatred for having discovered him. I didn't care. He had dug his own grave. Now he would have to lie in it. We left the court. Journalists surrounded us. Mr. Thurman? Mr. Thurman? How do you feel? Do you have a statement? Marcus pushed them aside. No comment. Please respect his privacy. We got in the car. We drove in silence for several minutes. Finally, Marcus spoke. It's done, Elijah. It's really done. Yes, it's done. What are you going to do now? I looked out the window. The rain had started to fall, soft drops against the glass. I'm going to live, simply live, without fear, without looking back, only forward. That sounds like a good plan. We arrived at my house. I thanked Marcus one more time. I went inside. Simone was in the kitchen with the kids. They were making cookies. The house smelled like cinnamon and sugar. The kids were laughing. Simone was singing. Normal life, everyday life. Life without betrayal, without lies, without conspiracy. I joined them. I helped decorate the cookies. The kids smeared flour on my face. Simone took photos. We laughed together. For the first time since I received that call from the hotel manager, I felt something close to peace. It wasn't complete happiness. There was still pain, still scars, but it was a beginning, a new beginning. The 60 days passed faster than I expected. I stayed busy. I worked at my company, spent time with Simone and the kids. I reorganized my life, my house, my future. Marcus kept me informed of every development in the case. Derek and Trevor's lawyers tried to negotiate. They asked for reduced charges, lesser sentences. The prosecutor rejected every offer. The evidence was too solid, the crimes too serious, the victims too many. A week before the trial, Simone finally signed her divorce papers. Derek didn't protest. From jail, he signed all of the papers. He gave up custody of the children. He accepted all the conditions. He had no choice. He knew he had lost everything. Mom called, Simone told me one night during dinner. She wants to talk to me. She wants to see me. And do you want to see her? Simone played with her food. I don't know, Pop. Part of me hates her for what she did. But the other part, she's my mother. The only one I have. I understand, honey. It's your decision. I'm not going to tell you what to do, but think it through carefully. Make sure you're ready, that she's not going to hurt you anymore. She nodded. I'll think about it. 2 days later, Simone went to see Naomi. They met at a coffee shop. They talked for 2 hours. When Simone returned, she had been crying, but she also looked lighter, as if a weight had been lifted from her shoulders. How did it go? I asked. It was difficult. She apologized. She cried a lot. She explained that she felt lonely, that she felt her life had lost meaning, that Derek made her feel young again, special. Those are excuses, not justifications. I know, and I told her. I told her that what she did was unforgivable, that she destroyed our family, that she hurt you deeply, that she hurt me. What did she say? She said I'm right, that she doesn't expect forgiveness, that she just hopes that one day I can find peace, and that you can too. I sighed. Your mother always knew how to say the right words, even when her actions were completely wrong. Finally, the day of the trial arrived. It was a Monday. The sky was gray. It looked like rain. I walked to the court early. The courtroom was full, fuller than at the preliminary hearing. Journalists, television cameras, Derek and Trevor's other victims, their families, onlookers who had followed the case in the news. I sat in my usual spot, the first row behind the prosecutor. Marcus was next to me. Simone decided not to come. She didn't want to see Derek. She didn't want to relive the pain. The judge entered. We all stood up. The trial began. For 3 days, the prosecutor presented his case. He called witnesses, document experts, banking specialists. The other victims testified through tears about how they had lost everything. I testified too. I went up to the stand and swore to tell the truth. The prosecutor asked me questions. I told him my entire story, from the call, from the hotel manager to the moment I discovered the full plan. Derek's lawyer cross-examined me afterward. He tried to discredit me. He suggested that I had misinterpreted the situation, that perhaps Naomi and Derek were just friends, that the documents could be an administrative error. I looked directly at him. Mr. Attorney, I am 68 years old. I have worked 45 years of my life. I have built an estate honestly. I know the difference between an administrative error and a conspiracy to rob me of everything. I am not a confused old man. I am a man who almost lost everything because of your client. The courtroom applauded. The judge hit her gavel. Order! Order in the court! The lawyer asked no more questions. On the 4th day, the defense presented its case. Derek testified. He said that Trevor had manipulated him, that he really loved Naomi, that he never wanted to hurt anyone, that he was just desperate because of his debts. The prosecutor tore him apart in the cross-examination. He showed him the messages with Naomi, where they planned every step, the documents he himself had signed, the bank transfers that only he had authorized. Derek had no answers, only excuses, only fake tears. Trevor didn't even testify. His lawyer said he invoked his right to remain silent. He knew that anything he said would only sink him deeper. On the 5th day, the lawyers presented their final arguments. The prosecutor was forceful. These men are predators, hunters of vulnerable seniors. They destroyed lives. They stole lifetime savings. They planned to institutionalize healthy people just to steal their properties. They deserve the maximum punishment the law allows. The defense attorneys asked for clemency. They talked about the defendants' families, their regrets, their chances of rehabilitation. The judge listened to everything. She took notes. Finally, she spoke. I have heard all the testimonies. I have reviewed all the evidence. This is a clear case of systematic and premeditated fraud. The defendants operated with malicious intent, without remorse, for years. She paused. The courtroom was in complete silence. I find Derek Kincaid guilty of all charges. I sentence him to 14 years in prison, without possibility of parole for the first 7 years. Furthermore, he must pay full restitution to all victims. Derek collapsed in his chair. His lawyer supported him. Some journalists ran out to report the news. I find Trevor Hayes guilty of all charges, the judge continued. Given his recidivism and his role as the intellectual facilitator of these crimes, I sentence him to 19 years in prison, without possibility of parole, for the first 10 years. He must also pay restitution and is permanently suspended from the practice of law. Trevor showed no emotion. He just looked forward, cold and calculating until the end. Furthermore, she ordered, both defendants are prohibited from contacting any of their victims or family members for life. Any violation of this order will result in additional charges. She hit her gavel. The session is adjourned. The guards took Derek and Trevor away. Derek was crying. Trevor walked upright as if he still had dignity. The other victims hugged one another. They cried with relief, with justice. Some sought me out and thanked me. Without your report, this never would have come to light. Thank you. Thank you so much. I left the court with Marcus. The journalist shouted questions. This time, I stopped. Marcus looked at me, surprised, but nodded. Mr. Thurman, how do you feel about the verdict? I took a deep breath. I feel relieved. Justice has been served. These men will no longer be able to hurt anyone else. But I also feel sad. Sad because all of this could have been avoided. If there had been trust, if there had been honesty, if there had been real love instead of greed. I paused. I want other seniors to know that they are not alone. That if they suspect someone is defrauding them, they must report it. They must seek help. They must not be ashamed. The criminals are the ones who should be ashamed, not the victims. Do you have a message for your ex-wife? I was silent for a moment. For Naomi, I only have this to say. I hope you find peace one day. I hope you use this time to reflect on your decisions. And I hope no one ever has to go through what you put me through. That was all. Marcus and I walked to the parking lot, got in the car, and drove in silence. Finally, Marcus spoke. It's over, Elijah. It's really over. Yes, it's over. What are you going to do now? I looked out the window. The rain had started to fall, gentle drops against the glass. I'm going to live, simply live, without fear, without looking back, only forward. That sounds like a good plan. We arrived at my house. I thanked Marcus one more time. I went inside. Simone was waiting for me. The kids ran to hug me. Pop, how did it go? Good, champ. Everything went well. We had dinner together that night. Simone made my favorite meal. We laughed. We told stories. The kids showed me their school drawings. Normal life. Simple life. Honest life. Exactly what I needed. 6 months passed since the trial, as life slowly found a new rhythm. A rhythm different from the 43 years I had known, but a rhythm of its own, honest and peaceful. Simone and the kids stayed living with me. At first it was temporary, just until she felt ready to be alone again. But the months passed, and none of us wanted them to leave. The house felt alive again, with children's laughter, the noise of toys, the smell of freshly baked cookies. I remodeled the house, painted the walls, changed the furniture. I took down all the old photos, the ones that showed Naomi and me smiling, the ones that showed a family that no longer existed. I put them in a box in the basement. I didn't throw them away. They were part of my history, but I didn't need to see them every day. I put up new photos of Simone and the kids, of my parents who are gone, of recent moments, birthdays, days at the park, movie nights in the living room. I went fully back to my work. My company kept moving forward. My employees welcomed me with applause the first day I returned. They had followed the case in the news. They knew what I had been through. They respected me more than ever. A client told me something I'll never forget. Mr. Thurman, you taught us that age is not weakness, that seniors can defend themselves. They can fight. they can win. Thank you for that example. I also started giving talks at community centers, to senior groups, on how to protect themselves from fraud, how to recognize signs of manipulation, how not to be afraid to report. Many people approached me afterward. They told me their own stories, children who stole from them, grandchildren who manipulated them, caregivers who abused their trust. I gave them the contacts for Marcus, for organizations that could help them, for authorities that would protect them. One afternoon, 3 months after the trial, I received a letter. The sender was the state prison. It was from Derek. I held it in my hands for several minutes. Part of me wanted to throw it away without opening it. Another part needed to know what he had to say. Finally, I opened it. Mr. Thurman, I don't expect you to read this letter. I don't expect you to forgive me. I just need you to know that I deeply regret what I did. Every day in this cell, I think about the lives I destroyed, the family I lost, the years my children will grow up without me, all because of greed, stupidity, and weakness. You were a good man to me. You gave me opportunities. You treated me like family, and I betrayed you in the worst way. There is no excuse, no justification. I just want you to know that I feel a regret that consumes me. Derek. I read the letter twice, then folded it and put it in a drawer. I didn't reply. There was nothing to say. His regret didn't change what he did. It didn't bring back the lost time. It didn't heal the wounds. But I didn't feed the hatred either. I simply let it go. He would have to live with his decisions. I would live with mine. Naomi completed her probation without problems. She moved to another city, far from here, far from the memories. Simone visited her twice. They said they needed to close cycles, to heal together whatever they could heal. I never saw her again. The restraining order was still in effect, and even if it wasn't, I had no desire to see her. That chapter of my life was closed, sealed, archived. One Saturday morning, Isaiah came running into my study. Pop, pop. Pop, pop. Look what I made at school. He showed me a drawing. Him, his sister, Simone, and me, the four of us holding hands. Bova. He had written in big letters, my family. It's beautiful, champ. I'm going to put it on my office wall. Seriously, it's the best work of art I've ever seen. His smile lit up the entire room. He ran off to tell his sister. Simone appeared in the doorway, smiling. He adores you, you know? He talks about you all the time at school. My pop-pop this, my pop-pop that. I stood up and hugged her. You all saved me, honey. When everything fell apart, you gave me a reason to keep going, to fight, to get my life back. You saved us, Pop. You gave us a home when ours was destroyed. You gave us stability. You gave us love. The kids are better off now than ever. And so am I. That afternoon, the four of us went to the park. The kids ran to the swings. Simone and I sat on a bench, watching them play, watching them laugh, watching them enjoy being children without the worries of the adult world. You know what's strangest, Nanyel, I said? For 43 years, I thought I had everything. A wife, a family, a stable life. But it was all fake, built on lies. And now, with less than I had, I feel more complete, more real, more myself. Simone took my hand. Because now you have the truth, Pop. And the truth, even if it hurts, is always better than the most comfortable lie. We returned home as the sun began to set. We made dinner together. The kids set the table. We ate, talking about our plans for Sunday. Maybe go to the movies or the museum, or just stay home and watch films. Simple plans, honest plans, plans of a real family. At night, after everyone had gone to sleep, I stayed in the living room with the lights off, just the moonlight streaming through the window. I thought about the entire journey, from that call from the hotel manager to this moment of peace. I had lost a lot. A wife, 43 years of what I thought was a happy marriage, my trust in someone I loved, money on lawyers and legal processes. But I had also gained. I regained my dignity. I protected my estate. I saved other people from being victims of the same criminals. I strengthened my relationship with my daughter. I gained a second chance to be a present grandfather. And most importantly, I regained something I had lost without realizing it. I regained my voice, my ability to defend myself, my refusal to be a silent victim. I stood up, walked to my study, and opened the drawer where I kept all the case documents, the evidence, the sentences, the divorce agreements. Everything was there, organized, archived. I closed the drawer. I didn't need to review them anymore. I didn't need to relive the pain. I just needed to know they were there as a reminder, as evidence, as proof that I had survived. I looked out my study window. The street was empty, quiet. A few street lamps illuminated the pavement. A cat walked across slowly. The wind moved the tree branches. Everything was at peace. I was at peace. Naomi thought I suspected nothing. She thought I was a trusting old man, easy to manipulate, easy to deceive, easy to destroy. She was wrong because I didn't yell. I didn't make a scene. I didn't beg. I didn't plead. I simply acted in silence, with intelligence, with patience. I gathered the evidence. I built the case. I waited for the exact moment. And when that moment came, I ended everything, silently, definitively, without looking back. I turned off the lights in my study, went upstairs, and passed by Simone's room. The door was ajar. I saw her sleeping peacefully. I passed by the kids' room, the two of them hugging their stuffed animals, breathing softly. My family, my real family. I entered my room, lay down, and closed my eyes. For the first time in months, I slept all night, without nightmares, without startled awakenings, without anxiety, only peace. Because it was finally over, and I had won. Not with shouts, not with violence, not with uncontrolled revenge, but with something much more powerful. With dignity, with intelligence, with justice. And that, I discovered, is the sweetest victory of all. The silent victory. The only one that truly matters. The only one that lets you sleep in peace.